Thank you for coming. We're back road today. I'll call them later and see if they're okay. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. That was a description of the 1700s through the eyes of Charles Dickens. Has anything changed over the years? The human race is still being renewed through rebirth with the same strengths and weaknesses. Life rolls on, but to what end? There is a light of hope on the horizon that can be seen by those who look for it. What is that light? It's an attitude that's most divine human attitude. Gratitude. The ability to be grateful. In the words of Charlie Brown, since we're quoting him today, thank you for correlating that well. What if we were all just grateful for everything? Okay, the fastest way to lose our happiness is to wish people were different than what they are for things. And we can regain our happiness simply by embracing with gratitude what is. Oh, I have a story for you. There's this restaurant, and this man comes every day, kind of like Casey's. And he's sitting there, and this waiter is always the same waiter because he sits in the same chair, and the same waiter has the same station. He's coming up to him, and every time this guy says, "Good meal," but I could have used more bread. It could be more bread. And so the waiter says, I'm going to see if I can do better on it. The next day, he gave him double bread, 4 pieces instead of 2. And at the end of the meal, the man complained still. And so he doubled it again. And the next day, and he complained again. Well, it could have been more bread. So this is it. He gets a 3-foot long French bread, cuts it in half, slathers it with garlic butter, toast, puts it in the oven, makes it a beautiful toasty smell and everything, just to perfection. He brings it in on a plate, a big plate, and everyone is looking and they're smelling and going, my goodness, what is that? Sets it on the table before the man, and he enjoys his meal. And as the man comes, at the end of his meal, the waitress says, good as always, but I see you're back to just giving 2 slices of bread. Now, we feel grateful for many things. By the way, when I arrived today and I couldn't figure out how to run that thing, I don't know, it started, and I'm not even sure what we did to make it start. But I do know that it said it was 57 degrees in here.
Well, that's a little low.
And so we turned it to 70, and we'll have to turn it back down a little bit. So this is why I've got this beautiful warm. I may fall asleep during my own talk. That would get a new one, wouldn't it? We feel grateful for many things. A kindness from a stranger, a meal when hungry, a dry roof overhead when there is a storm, a broken leg that heals, a hearty cry of a newborn child. Many of us feel gratitude at such moments. Sooner or later, I believe that we all come across times when the very fabric of our world tears at the seams. And imagine this, leaving us feeling alone, frustrated, and adrift. It can happen to anyone. Certainly it's happened to me. I can name a few. No one is immune. Everyone's situation is different, and the details of each life are unique. Nevertheless, I have learned that there is one thing we can do to make life sweeter, more joyful, even glorious. What do you think the answer is? You know the answer by now. It's gratitude. You bet. Like, here's the lyrics of the song, Attitude of Gratitude, which I'm going to sing later. I thank the universe for each new day, whether it's sunny or it's pouring rain. In any situation, time or place, my grateful heart creates a state of grace. Now, this might sound like contrary to the wisdom of the world to suggest that one who is burdened with sorrow should give thanks. But those who seek to set aside the bottle of bitterness and lift instead the goblet of gratitude will find a purifying, healing peace and understanding. Swami Kriyananda said, gratitude opens us up to a positive flow of grace and gives us the ability to grow from every experience. So the reason for hardships is personal growth. And it is our gratitude which holds the power to increase this personal growth exponentially. Everyone, say these words with me. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna do a little louder. Louder than the amens. That was so painful. I don't know why you didn't make me do it again. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, well, you're welcome. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah.
Do you feel your personal growth shooting up in the air like a well-nourished garden plant? Just a couple of words. But there's a lot more than just words. Gratitude is a state of being. And also an action, a verb, something you feel deep within that is screaming so loud that it has to be let out. Not just in words, but in everything you do. Your whole life becomes an expression of your gratitude. I have a friend and he collects fish. So he says, you want to go fishing with me? And he means you want to drive to Eugene to look at all the pet stores. So we're in Petco and we're looking at this beautiful aquarium, and man, they have some outstanding fish nowadays that you can pick up and buy and put in your aquarium. And they were so beautiful, darting around. And so there's an attendant standing nearby, and I turned to her and I said, well, who feeds these beautiful fish? She goes, well, I do. Well, have they ever thanked you? Not yet. I literally thank my wife dozens of times a day for being part of my life. There's one thing she knows above everything else, that I'm grateful for her. And any Irish? No Irish? Okay. Well, in Ireland, there's always one Irish. You know, there's more Irishmen in the US than there is in Ireland?
No.
There was.
Yeah, the famine that came here.
Hmm?
During the potato famine that came.
That's right. Because they grew nothing but potatoes, which started in Mexico.
South America.
South America. So anyways, that's interesting that they have that problem.
You
But
didn't know that? All potatoes come from something.
now, in Ireland, in Belfast, they have a coat of arms. And it's, let's see, what is it? Oh yeah, a lion and a seahorse facing each other, and there's a shield between them. And underneath there's some Latin, and the Latin says, pro tanto quid retribuamus, which means, what shall we give in return for so much? The answer?
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Give thanks to the giver behind each gift, and to the one giver, even God, through which we receive all things. In Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians, it said, rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances. It says not just part of everything that we enjoy, but in all circumstances. It is difficult to develop a spirit of gratitude of our thankfulness, if only proportional to the number of blessings we can count. I'm going to repeat that. It is difficult to develop a spirit of gratitude if our thankfulness is only proportional to the number of blessings we can count. Instead, let us view gratitude as a disposition, a way of life that stands independent of our current situation. In other words, I'm suggesting that instead of being thankful for our circumstances, to be thankful in our circumstances, no matter what they are. Let us be like Job, who said, he had everything. He was rich. He had, he listed all this stuff. And back then, the number of cows you had was like how many condos you had to rent out. You know, I'd rather have the condos, to tell you the truth. But he had a lot of stuff, and then suddenly it was all taken. And what did he say? Naked came I into the world. Oh, excuse me. Naked came I into my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Let's make a choice each day to be grateful, no matter what. Charlie Brown didn't say to just be grateful for part of everything. He said, be grateful for all of it. The good, right along with the less fortunate. This type of gratitude transcends whatever is happening around us. It surpasses disappointment, discouragement, and despair. It blossoms just as beautifully in the icy landscape of winter as it does in the pleasant warmth of summer. Here's a poem. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. The further sky, the greater strength. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow. Got a story. I forget the poem. Thomas Nelson. So he came home from the war. So this is an old, he's dead now, I'm sure. But this is an old story I've read. He came home from World War II and became a brick mason, and he was very good at it. And one thing he enjoyed doing in his spare time was working with his grandson, Jonathan. And the reason being, he really saw himself a lot in Jonathan, and they just like bonded. So let's move on in time. Tom is now 63, and he needs a new heart. And he's looking for a heart donor. Can't find one. He has to wait. And man, he's just not, he's not the kind of guy that waits. He's in all of his life, he's just pushed ahead with determination and hard work and gotten whatever it was he was aiming to do. So Tom had a hard time with this heart failure because all he could do was wait. He had no power to speed up the process. In one joyous yet dreadful day, an ideal donor heart became available. Whoops, now I'm going to get a little thing here. Sorry. I had a child once that gave hearts, but the size and blood type were a match. And the daughter was young, just 16, and it was Jonathan, who died in a car accident that very day. Well, Tom was distraught. At first, he says, "No way. I'm not taking my grandson's heart. This is horrible. You know, we should be mourning, and here I am." You know, it was mixed things, and they talked together with the family, and they decided, you know, well, actually, our prayers didn't cause Jonathan's death. Just get that out of our head. It was a blessing, a tragedy, but also a blessing to Tom that he could extend his life. And so they went ahead with the operation, and it was successful. Now, afterwards, and this is the point I'm making with the story, Tom was a different man. The change went beyond improved health or even gratitude. He reflected every morning on Jonathan, on his daughter, and his son-in-law, and the gift of the donor heart that he received, and what that gift entailed. Even though his infinite, he still had his humor and his grit about him, you know, people could see that in him. Tom was more solemn, thoughtful, kind-hearted. Now, God promised his people, a new heart will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart, and I will give you a heart of flesh. Let's take a look at the disciples of Jesus. What was it that transformed Jesus' apostles from fearful, doubting men into fearless, joyful emissaries of the Christ? How was it done? Here we delve into the deeper aspect of gratitude, its wellspring, which is the true source of our strength. In the hours following the crucifixion of Jesus, his disciples were gathered together. They were confused. They were mourning. They really couldn't understand what had just happened. How could this be? But then one event changed all that. Their Lord appeared to them. And they were frightened. And he said, behold my hands and feet. It is I, myself. When the apostles recognized the risen Christ, when they beheld the glorious resurrection of their beloved master, they became different men. From that moment onward, nothing could keep them from fulfilling their mission. Why? Why? What was the change? Because they suddenly knew who they were. They were disciples of a resurrected being of light, and they knew beyond any doubt that that was the fact. This changed everything. With this knowledge flowing through their veins, they suddenly became invincible. They were no longer afraid. They accepted the hardships ahead, even torture and death for most of them. Their stony hearts were replaced with a heart of flesh. Their hope was turned to a sure knowledge. This is a mystery beyond our ability to name, a wellspring of living water, too deep to see with our mortal eyes, but we can experience it. So, what is it that unity offers us? What is its purpose, its goal, its mission? Unity offers personal transformation. Unity offers personal transformation. You do not need to see the resurrected Jesus as the apostles did to experience the same transformation. Each of you have a Christ living within. This is the deeper aspect of gratitude I spoke of. Look within, and you too will find your strength, just as the apostles of Jesus did. Then the natural and irresistible urge to give thanks for your life experiences will overcome you. Be overcome. That is my challenge to you. Gratitude is a side effect of awakening to the Christ within. It starts as faith and becomes a sure knowledge. Well, that's the talk. And again, I thoroughly enjoyed creating these, and I hope you take something home with you that will help you improve your life and become happier, more joyful people, and to help you in your own search for personal transformation. Now, for the meditation, I'd like you to hear this little story, and then we'll meditate in silence on the meaning of the story. So please release your hold on this physical world for a moment to speak to you. Take a deep breath or two, quiet your mind, drift into the eternal worlds beyond the veil. Breathe again, deeper this time, and listen to my story. Each Thanksgiving Day, Father would take us to the cellar, and we would count the barrels of apples, the bins of beets, the carrots packed in sand, the shelves lined with numerous bottles of preserves, of fruit, pickled whatever. They had an abundance of food that they had created on their farm that year. Then he'd take them outside to the barn, And there they count how much hay they had, how many tons of hay, and then how much grain was in the granary. And then they count the cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, and geese. Our father said he wanted to see how we stood, but we knew what he really wanted was for us to see how much the Lord had blessed us and smiled upon all of our hours of hard work. Finally, when we sat down to the feast, our mother had prepared, and father had finished giving thanks to God in prayer. We ate. It was like no other meal throughout the year. We felt blessed, a palpable sensation as the Spirit of God filled our hearts with gratitude. Ah, then one year, it was Thanksgiving again, and mother said, maybe we'd better forget it this year. We haven't even got a goose left. On Thanksgiving morning, however, father showed up with a jackrabbit that he had shot and asked mother to cook it. Grudgingly, she started the job, indicating it would take a long time to cook that tough old thing. When it was finally on the table, with some of the turnips, old shriveled things that had survived, they must have had a crowd. We children refused to eat. Mother cried. Father did a strange thing. He raised his eyes to the heavens and said a prayer of thanksgiving. It was the sweetest, most heartfelt prayer I had ever heard him. I opened my eyes to look at the table, feeling that I must now be filled with good food, but it was not. Yet in my heart, I felt the spirit of my father's gratitude to God take root and fill me. And to this day, it has never left me. Through all my trials and tribulations as a man, it has never left me. For this, I'm deeply grateful. To my father and to that particularly difficult year on our family farm.